Good afternoon, everyone. This is the meeting of the Town of Fort Myers Beach Cultural and Environmental Learning Center Advisory Board meeting. And it is Thursday, September 25th at 1 o'clock, and we are meeting for the first time as this advisory board in the new Town Hall on Estero Boulevard. I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin by standing to give the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Only that were true.
Thank you. And I'd also like to recognize that we have someone on Zoom. I assume everyone is in agreement that Carrie can join in on a Zoom call. Carrie, good afternoon.
Hi, everyone. Happy to see you guys.
Carrie.
The room looks amazing.
It's a very beautiful room, I
It's
have to
nice.
say.
It
The chambers
looks like it.
are spectacular. So we'll begin with our wonderful vice mayor and our advisory board liaison. Roll call.
I thought I was going to give a speech. Jim Adderhold is here.
Okay.
Becky Warner, Sherry Smith,
Barbara Hill.
Ellen Vaughn.
Adam Knight.
And Jeff Hauge.
Okay,
And
everyone.
Carrie Henderson.
Great attendance. It's nice to have everybody here. But I also want to recognize the loss of one of our long-term, if not one of the founding members of the advisory board. That's Betty Simpson, who passed away recently.
Oh.
And we are very sad that she is no longer part of our advisory board, but more importantly than that, all of the many years of dedication and commitment as a volunteer to help this community grow since before the inception of its incorporation in 1995. So, Betty, we will always miss you. Approval of the minutes. We can assumedly have a motion to approve. Oh, actually, you just received these today. Would you like to take a minute and sort of just review to see if these meet your approval?
Yes, please.
Hey, Adam, will you send those to me when you get a chance?
Yes, of course.
Has she
Thank you.
received them by email?
I just
Oh, okay.
no.
Motion to approve? Oh, and while we're reviewing the minutes, please, if your cell phones, please turn them off for this meeting. I made the mistake of having my cell phone on and the phone rang during our board cab meeting, and I was not happy. Sorry about that.
My phone is turned off, however, my watch still rings, so.
Yeah, I know, I've had that too. Actually, you can turn the phone off.
On your watch?
Uh-huh.
How do you do that?
I can't show you right now.
We'll just pray it doesn't happen.
Madam Chair, while people are taking this time to review, I have a question historically. Was Betty on the original CELCAB, and was anyone here on the original CELCAB committee?
Sherry, I think,
Sherry?
was. And
Original
Lori,
act-
maybe?
Well,
Seal.
Turn your mic on. Sherry,
Seal
Sherry.
probably was. I was appointed in
Mine.
2002.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was appointed, I think, in 2002.
Okay.
So I'm close to but nobody's an actual, there was another one before me.
And did
But-
CELCAB get created quick or soon after Mount House was created, or was there a lapse there between when the Mount House was procured by the town and opened for business and then CELCAB? Or
They had kind of a quasi type group that would kind of a board type thing. They kind of appointed themselves a board.
Okay.
And then I'm trying to remember, I know they had tours and Yeah.
presentations and
Right.
things at the Mound House.
Right, but CELCAB was there before 202, because I know, because when I was asked to serve on it, it was in existence already. But there were a lot of people that lived, that are not on the island anymore.
Okay.
So Adam
So-
actually has researched CELCAB because he was telling me the history of it last time we had a time.
Okay.
chat.
Yes, so CELCAB was formed by town council to advise the town council in the initial leasing of the Mount House property from the Long Estate in 1999, and then the final purchase of the property in 2000 with assistance from the Florida's Communities Trust. It was a collaboration of both community members but also neighbors. The original size of CELCAB was, I believe it was 14 members. So it was a very large committee, and then later it got reformed, I believe in 2001, 2002,
Right
to
around
be
in
to
there, right.
be more
Yeah.
in line
So
with the
I
other
was
advisory
very
committees.
close.
Okay.
But, and I'm trying to think if Betty was on then.
I'm having coffee with Anita tomorrow. I'll ask her for, because I think she's been the liaison from the very beginning, I think, but I don't, I'll have to ask her that.
Anita?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was our, liaison. She might remember if Betty was on or not, but she was close to that,
Okay.
because she
I
was.
I do know that Betty was one of the founding members of BORCAB.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right?
the
Okay.
Yes.
board tab,
Okay.
Yeah,
I actually read that in her obituary.
right,
Okay.
right, yeah.
Her obituary
She-
also stated that she was one of, and the founding group that, before the town incorporated, she was part of that.
She was,
Yes.
yeah, she was on my,
Which-
what they call
which
the
you did.
transition team. We
Okay.
had the incorporation committee that got it passed. There were probably about 30 of us. And then once it got passed, we had what we called a transition team, and we had different things for different people to explore and this type of thing to put the town together.
I assume
And
hiring
she
a
was
town
on-
manager was part of that exercise?
Yes,
Oh, very good.
yes. And
Okay.
she was, yes, so she was on our transition team.
Oh, excellent.
So,
Some
yeah.
good history,
Yep.
yeah.
You know, that history ought to be captured in the same way that the history of the Mound House was captured. We need to find someone, a willing author, to take on the history of the
History
formation.
of CELCAB.
No, the history of the founding of Fort Myers Beach, and then there would be an emphasis, talk about how the advisory boards came about and what their function is.
There is supposed to, and I really don't know what has transpired, because Anita got a hold of me. And she said in October, they wanted to put together Anita and I to discuss
Oh.
the origination of the town and then the first council. But I haven't heard anything since. And I
Oh,
think,
That would
yeah.
be great, yeah.
So-
And that
so-
could be the basis of it being recorded. You just need to find.
Yeah, so I'm looking
Willing
through all my
author.
old material and,
Okay, let's move on to the agenda. We've got our minutes to review. Please have
Sorry,
yes.
Barbara.
have an opportunity to review them quickly so that we can have a motion. I'm entertaining a motion here.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as, well.
As presented?
As presented, I was gonna give the date.
Okay, is there
but
a
yes.
second? That's Sherry.
I will second the motion.
Okay.
And can I add a friendly amendment that as each of us has the opportunity to read more closely after the meeting, that if we find something that
We
we
can
feel
correct.
needs connecting, we can bring it back up at the next meeting?
Good. I think we can definitely do that. Okay, all in favor of the approval of the minutes? Aye?
Aye.
None Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We will go to the public comment. Public comment is open. There's no one in the audience. Closing public comment and begin then with the staff report. Adam and Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On your dais, and I'll send this to you as well, Carrie, after the meeting, just so you have it. Feel free to reach out to me as well, Carrie, or anyone here, if you have any questions.
Adam, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but could
okay.
you speak up?
Oh,
My
yes.
ears are blocked and
Sorry.
I'm having a terrible time.
Is this better?
Old age is, it's maybe
hear you.
one of the better alternatives, but it's not all that good from time to time.
So if you look at the document titled September 1st through September 24th, Mount House CELCAB report, starting on the front page, goes an overview over the attendance and program participation since the beginning of this month on to yesterday, as well as the current running total for the fiscal year, starting October 1st, 2024. And you can see sizable drop in visitation during September, but programs keep up pretty well compared to August, based on my analysis. Events, we had the Sabor de Rancho event that was held on September 20th in the evening. That event was actually oversold out with 27 people in attendance. That was an evening where we celebrated the Mound House and Fort Myers Beach's Latino heritage during the colonial period, the Spanish colonial period, where we had a tour of the site's Latino heritage, a salsa dance lesson, and a Latin American meal right on the second floor of the museum. That was well attended and well received. You can see we had a dip in merchandise. Usually we get about $1,000 of revenue from merchandise, only about $630 in revenue for merchandise.
Adam, could you
Yes.
clarify these columns, because NA obviously is not applicable, but I'm not quite sure in what category these are applying to those topics.
Yes, so the, sorry, that's a error on my part with Excel. So the NA are in the same column as the numbers recording under that first column of two, the September 1st through September 24th
So that should just be
column.
one column, is that what?
Yes.
And what that is that those are the programs that did not occur.
They weren't offered, and if we offer them and they do occur, then we put 0. So for example, or I guess same effect, yes. So NA means they weren't offered or it wasn't applicable for the recording for September's numbers. So for example, we had no FGCU tours booked, so it's not applicable, but they're still running total for the fiscal year.
Okay, but that carries over to the entire, the rest of the balance of the fiscal year as well?
Yes.
Okay, wow.
Yes, so for example, under programs, the first column, so we've had 52 individuals participate in programs and 1,804 people for the year participate in programs, 52 alone just in September. During events, we had 27 people participate in September events, with 281 people participating for events for the entirety of the fiscal year.
Okay, that's helpful. It was just confusing to have that separate column underneath where the attendance was, so.
Yes.
So the merchandise revenue being below expectations, is that because of the less attendance?
Probably less attendance for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, in August, we had about 500 visitors and about $1,000 in merchandise review, so that kind of tracks out.
September is the slowest
Mhm.
month, yeah.
Yes, historically, the slowest months for Mound House, and I'm assuming the whole island,
Right.
has been August, September, October, and then it starts kind of picking up in November.
Right.
Yeah.
So nothing too surprising. Questions on this first page?
No, I just want to add, and Ellen will, I know, join me in just praising you all as staff for that salsa night. It was fantastic.
Yes.
It was really a wonderful evening. I met a lot of really great new people who were true advocates for the Mound House, and they will be back. And so, there was one person that came from Newport Richey.
No kidding.
Yes, and then there were several that came from Estero, Florida, so these were people off the island.
Good.
Yeah.
So you're actually reaching a new audience, which is very helpful.
Yes, we were very proud to have the majority of the people there first-time non-members. So we'll have their contact information, so we'll be inviting them to have or join as a member in the future. Continuing on to the second page. Social media, decent. Marketing, no marketing events for September. Things of note, if you have not yet heard, I had on September 9th, I did turn in my resignation, effective October 1st. So my last day with the town of Fort Myers Beach and as the museum manager will be October 1st, 2025. I just wanted to stop and say how thankful I've been for this opportunity, and how supportive y'all have been and the town has been in not just the Mound House, but also in my own personal work at Mound House. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and bittersweet to be leaving, but it was a opportunity for a new job in California that I couldn't say no to.
Well, congratulations,
Yes,
Adam.
I'm-
You will
yeah.
be missed. You have done such an incredible job in the, well, in the years since you were thrown into the deep end.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes, you
Agreed.
have.
And you know what I really thought you brought to the table, which was so needed, was the professionalism of our programming and the new insights into the field of archaeology and with regard to what is the best practices of the museum. So I am personally grateful for that, which shows tremendous growth to get us to the right place in terms of offering programs that are excellent and in keeping with museum standards. So I appreciate that, Adam.
And I'd like to build on that and say that you have been filling in gaps on things that we had very little information
Right.
about. In particular, the Spanish years.
Mhm.
From the Calusas leaving until the early, there were hundreds of years there, and you're filling in the gaps, so hopefully that work can continue.
Yep.
Okay, and I was gonna do it after the staff, as part of the staff report, but I just wanna thank you, Adam. You know, when we first started to talk, when you took over the museum manager job, we had a couple things that we wanted to accomplish, and one was outreach. You know, getting out there, getting our name out. A lot of times when you heard Mound House, it was, where is that? Or, no, I've never heard of that. Where I think one of Adam's focuses was getting out in the community, getting out in the surrounding in Southwest Florida and getting our name out there, and telling our story a little bit more. And I think that has shown with visitorship too. Maybe people just coming to the grounds and maybe, you know, enjoying the greenery, and maybe it's people that wanted to hear the history. But one of the things that Adam did really well is the outreach part of it. And then also the professionalism, getting us on the right track for, you know, best museum practices, especially with the MAPS program. That's just going to carry forward and to making the museum and the grounds a better place. So you will definitely be missed, and big shoes to fill, whoever is next, but we'll find somebody to
You've got
to
a
do
big
that.
job
but
ahead to try and find
We do.
Adam's replacement.
We do, yeah, it is. I believe it's posted now, so if anybody's watching and wants to give it a whirl to apply, we'll be interviewing soon.
Any thoughts for Adam? No?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna miss him, but I think, I've always enjoyed our conversation, because there isn't
True.
anything that I couldn't ask Adam
That's true.
and he would know. I mean, I keep going, Adam, you have to go on Jeopardy. And now now you're in California, you're even closer. But I've enjoyed our friendship, and I've enjoyed everything that you brought to the Mound House. I'm gonna miss you, but you'll love California.
I just want to say ditto.
All of the above.
I would just say, Adam, I've always considered public service a calling. I just wanted to thank you personally for answering the call. Appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Anything more to report? Yes, of course.
Yeah, there are more. There's more. I just wanted to get that one out of the way.
Thank you.
The visitor service aide for Mound House was transferred to Town Hall. You might be able to see her, Sandra. She's currently covering Town Hall. She's been doing that since September 1st, so since September 11th, pardon me. Brianna, myself, Karina, and the new hire, our new education coordinator, Emily Ton, has been rotating to cover the museum store in Sandra's temporary absence here at Town Hall. So as I said, our new education coordinator, who was hired to replace Franklin to make it a little bit simpler for everyone, she was hired September 8th, and she's now fully trained. She comes extremely well-versed and knowledgeable in especially environmental science. She's very much enthusiastic about school programs and a lot more environmental programs, both at Mound House and at Newton Beach Park. So you all have a really good, well-trained staff, left at Mound House.
And actually, to that point, Adam and Jeff, maybe next month, when we have a new employee, because not every one of us goes and volunteers at the Mound House, it would be helpful if maybe they had an opportunity to come and introduce themselves, tell them, tell us a little bit about who they are, so we can kind of get the face and the name together.
Be great, I'd
So
like that.
maybe that new person can be
Yeah, well-
next month.
We'll try to make that happen. We'll see what staffing looks like.
Oh, yes, of
Cover
course.
with coverage, but yeah, we'll. But
Yeah.
be a good opportunity for you guys to stop by too and see what she's up to and say hi as well.
There's been some, like everywhere else in the town, some very serious budget cuts. So it doesn't look like we'll be able to fill that second education coordinator position to replace Ashley. So it looks like Emily will be there. Now, Emily, as the sole education coordinator now, we have scaled back programming, so we're going to continue, as it says in the continuation of this report, we're going to continue with just one kayak tour a month, or excuse me, one kayak tour a week, excuse me, at 9 a.m. on Saturday. And then we'll be cutting back to doing one guided tour at noon, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So while we are cutting back in terms of the programs and services, Emily and Brianna, who is our collections manager registrar, she's going to be stepping in to help Emily with some of the educational programs as well, especially when it relates to field trips. So they're both very passionate about education and sharing archaeology and environmental science. So we're not going to be canceling any of our field trips or group tours that we have booked up. But in terms of our regular scheduled programming, that has been reduced. Our operating budget has been cut from about last year $77,000 to $34,000. This is just everything basically except staff salaries, staff benefits, and insurance on the property itself. So that's office supplies, paper, things like that. Thankfully, we have additional funds from Lee County's Tourism Development Council, the TDC funds, so that helps supplement some things. And of course, we're extremely thankful and fortunate to have the Friends of Mount House also help supplement some of those cuts and shortfalls, especially with regards to things like staff training, education materials, materials for the collection, marketing, things like that. So it's going to be some very tight belts going forward at Mount House, but Karina, Emily, and Brianna are extremely passionate. They're very flexible, and they're fully understand what's going to be happening, and they're going to pivot very well. So they're prepared for that.
Adam, if I could just ask a procedural question. If we're unable to fill a position by the time of your departure, just from a process standpoint, Jeff, do you become the interim director, or do you appoint one of Adam's staff members as an interim director? Who would one turn to for if they had a question
Well,
about
I'll
the Mount
still be
House?
the director. I'm not the interim.
What's that?
I'll still be the director.
Are you the director now?
Yeah, he's the museum manager. So we'd give a probably an interim museum manager tag to somebody in the meantime, but.
Well, I didn't mean director, I meant director of the museum, so, but you call him museum manager, I see.
Yeah.
So it's, okay, yeah. So you'll basically assume, you'll maintain that role.
Yeah, we'll do it, and actually, it's the timing is not great, of course, but without the cuts, we're gonna do some adjustments anyway, so we'll kind of work through it as we go.
Okay, thank you.
That kind of leads into a lack of volunteers continues to be an issue, especially in critical issues that the Mound House needs, especially field trips, outreach, kayak tour aides, but especially the field trips and outreach volunteers. Those are the two roles that are critical moving forward, as I see it. So highly encourage everyone to, if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to the Mound House, reach out to Jeff, the town, anyone here on the board. Please stop by to volunteer time to help guest or a field trip or outreach. As I said, with 3 staff, it's going to be very tight coverage, even just for keeping the museum open let alone having additional programs like a field trip. So if you're interested, please reach out to me, Jeff. As I said, anyone will be more than happy to get you all the information or help you out and really help fill your needs and desires and wants in terms of giving back to the community. A design firm did submit a scope of work for damages to Mound House from Hurricane Milton. Basically, we're still in that processing of the design proposal, and it hasn't really gone. The next step would kind of be accepting or rejecting or editing that design proposal, and then moving forward with actual repair work. But basically, there was some internal structural damage to the museum from Milton, where some of the joists appear to be failing,
Now,
and some
are you
compression
talking
damage.
The Mound House itself?
Yes, the historic William H. Case House,
I'm sorry?
the Case House.
The Case House?
The Mound
So,
House itself,
and
the house.
You just discovered these joists that are damaged now?
It's been basically, because there was internal damage, we didn't see it at first. There was some slight shifting, there we go, of the ceiling and wall after the hurricane that were noted by a structural engineer
That's after Milt?
after Milton.
Oh,
And it was kind of, okay, the house just shifted. And then gradually it's been getting a little bit more progressive through compression damage, to the point that over the summer with all the rain, it appears to have exacerbated some of that existing damage to where it was visible to the point that we could move forward with kind of putting it on the front burner.
So by not dealing with it, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse. So this is something that is gonna have to be in the critical path?
In my opinion, I'm not an engineer or
Okay.
construction worker or contractor, but I would imagine it would be a high priority.
Yeah, I did receive some correspondence today. They are gonna be, the K2M Designs will be in town, I think, it looks like October 3rd to do some assessments. So we'll meet with them over at Mound House. Says the 3rd or possibly the 2nd. So we're working on a date here in the next couple weeks to have them come and assess and see what the next steps are.
so, is there money in our budget to fix this?
We'll have to see how much.
It says 26,000, is that just sort of a rough estimate on what it's going to cost? Or
Yeah.
is that for the design work?
That's the design.
Yeah.
That's just the design, that's not for the actual repair.
Yep. So we'd have to do some digging after, I mean, we just had the budget hearing last night,
Yes.
as everyone probably knows. So we'll have to see if we can maybe claim it even on the FEMA side of it, possibly, or, we could try running it through insurance maybe too. So there are maybe a couple avenues we can try before we try to get some budget money out of it. But after last night, we have to do a little digging to see which pot that would come out of.
So can you specifically talk about where this
Where it
damage
is?
is, where this joist area is more specifically?
Yes, there was some separation throughout the house in regards to masonry damage, as well as damage to the joints in question that caused the most concern, and that's on the second floor exhibit, the Ancient Peoples exhibit, along the south-facing wall. So the wall on the second floor that faces the small parking lot. So right when you walk into the Mound House, that sidewalk that's on your way from the front of the Mound House to the museum store door, if you look up, you won't see it, but if you go inside, it's in that corner where you have some of the replica tools that the people can see. So it's along that corner,
And that's also part of where the gift shop is down below.
opposite.
Opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, the gift shop is facing the east direction, and this is kind of the southwest corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of the damage is visible on the porch itself, isn't it? On the
A
floor?
li- yeah, on the porch, yes, there is some additional damage to the floor joist in the Ancient Peoples exhibit, as well as the, where there's some sagging, and appears to be some additional damage from the floor joist outside on the second floor porch. And you can kind of also see, if you go on the second floor porch and look in the corner all the way to the end, you can see where there's some separation from the porch structure, which, as we know, was added later on, to that original, the older part of the house structure.
Is it just, is it just the second floor?
Is there anything in the foundation area?
No, well, there is no foundation
Well,
for Mount
that's
House,
true.
which is part of the
And that- yeah,
problem.
Right,
So it's all wind damage caused by Milton
the mountain.
and potentially precipitation-based damage from the wood swelling, especially on the first floor around the masonry. But in terms of the joist or shifting, in terms of the compression damage we're seeing, where the wall is kind of starting to bow out a little bit, most of that is coming basically from the wind damage onto the structure, given it's a historic structure built on a shell mound with no foundation. So it's kind of the building shifted, and perhaps it shifted a little too far during Milton, and it's that compression damage, which is kind of a side effect of that internal damage. But we don't really know the full extent until after there's been more professional analysis. But the building is structurally safe, if you're worried about that. We've had 2 separate structural engineers come out, both immediately after Milton and then again when the problem was presenting itself as compression damage in the springtime.
So I'm sorry, Adam, just let me ask again, has the insurance adjuster actually been on the premises to inspect this, or is that something you're planning to do?
We had Tidal Basin, but I don't know how that.
Yeah,
fits.
not actually insurance. Well, we have to get them out there after we'll have to do an incident report, and get that to HR to get our insurance to come and take a look at it. But we had a site inspection on it after Milton, and then Tidal Basin came back out and looked at it again. And I think we sent them some pictures, so.
Yeah.
It's on our damage inventory list.
And then
but-
FEMA came out as well.
And then FEMA did a damage inspection too,
So it is
so.
on the list. They're
Yeah,
aware.
we're going through it. It's just,
Okay. Steps are being taken.
we need the capital to be able to pay it to get reimbursed for it, so, yes.
But you
Add to
referenced,
that 9 million.
but I was guessing with the town's insurance, I mean, you referenced FEMA, which is certainly worth exploring, but the town has insurance as well. Would they be able to send an adjuster out to take a look at it?
Yeah, we have to get to that process, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, you can go ahead and continue. That was a big one.
It was.
Yes.
It's been an ever evolving situation over the summertime. There was, we didn't meet a few times. And then also, we didn't really, all that took place kind of after our August meeting, all those meetings and site visits. So I couldn't really provide a detailed update last time. This didn't really happen in September. This is just like I guess a loose thread that I just wanted to tell everyone here so it doesn't get forgotten or left on the wayside. And Jeff and I have had conversations about this. It's kind of just something that needs to be kind of addressed or taken care of. So the artifacts, we have the artifacts, but there's, in the museum field, there's documentation and provenance, and they kind of act like the pedigree, you can say, for your artifacts. They give them cultural and sometimes financial value as well. So there are no documents to associate with the artifacts. Based on institutional records, it appears that as from internal investigations from 2011, I was thinking that maybe after former museum director Teresa Schoberg left, maybe she had copies that she would be able to help us out and fill in those gaps. And she actually has the originals, and we don't have copies. So someone will have to reach out to her in order to get, according to an email she received where she said that she has these records in her custody. So that'll have to be an ever-going conversation.
And I think at one point you did reach out to attempt to get those records back, and that didn't work out well.
Yeah, that was my first email when she said she had them.
Right.
Yes.
So, if anyone knows Teresa and would have the opportunity to have her return them because obviously she was on staff at the time that those documents were gathered.
Yes.
Which means that as a staff person, those become the staff property, not personal property.
Town property.
Yes,
Sorry?
town property.
Town property.
Yes, exactly. So, we need to, get them back.
I think that might be a good conversation to have with our town attorney. Just make a gentle query, shall we say, to see if that could be accomplished.
I have to add, in Teresa's defense, that her leaving was horribly handled by the town. It was disgusting and it was disgraceful. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah. So there's probably some bad feelings out there.
That's why I say a gentle call.
A
Yeah.
gentle, yeah.
So yeah, just want to put that out.
But
Since
thank
I'm
you,
leaving, I
and
didn't want any
having that on
loose
the
ends.
record, that this is something we do need to follow up on, agreed, as are all these other areas as well.
And then just more procedural things, less dramatic ones. Beach walks at Newton Park are being moved Tuesday at 9 a.m., starting next Tuesday, the 29th, if I'm getting my days right. Tuesday, September 29th at 9 a.m. Beach walks will start on Tuesdays. They were on Fridays, but due to staff shortages, we're moving them from Fridays to Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Kayak tours, as I said, they're going to be offered once a week on Saturdays at 9 a.m. due to staff shortages. Guided tours will be cut to once a day, Wednesday through Saturday at 12 p.m. due to staff shortages.
And those will all be handled
By Emily.
Emma, okay.
Yes, in addition to social media, researching grants, field trips, group tours, FGCU, outreach, and volunteer coordination.
Okay, any questions
yes,
for Adam with regard to his staff report?
The one thing, on the beach walk,
Yes.
is that at Newton, like it was? Where
Yes,
they-
at Newton, sorry, I should have clarified.
And-
The beach
and-
walks are at
yeah.
Newton Beach Park.
And who is doing it?
Emily,
Oh, Emily.
So Emily will be doing everything.
Okay.
educational
And
wise.
everything educational.
Education, volunteer, and social media, yes.
Okay.
And then Brianna will continue working with the archives, the exhibits, all that. And then Karina will continue working in administration, purchase order, the finance side, development, and marketing.
Adam, if I could, those beach walks at Newton Park, they're great, and I just, one of the tools to get the word out, the Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce has a email blast list that they give updates on things that are going on in the community, and if maybe Nicole or somebody could just do a little one-pager, I'm sure they would slide that into their deck, and
Yeah.
that reaches every short-term rental, it reaches the hotels, it reaches everybody, and that might help get the word out, because that is a nice
Yes.
service.
Yes, we'll do
Great.
that for sure. Thank you.
And Nicole's done a really amazing job with those Fort Myers Beach town announcements. I really like the feedback that I'm getting on a regular basis.
And the way she formats, it's easy for the chamber to pick it up and put it into their email blast those come out every other day usually, and with all kinds of good information.
Exactly.
Have a huge mailing list, or have a huge email list.
Any other questions for Adam with regard to his staff report? I have a question with regard to the shortfall, which we sort of expected, which was sort of codified last night at the budget hearing, and your conversation about the need for Friends to kind of augment our shortfall. To what extent is there that commitment from the Friends with regard to this upcoming fiscal year with regard to funding?
So, not to spoil things, but I had conversations with Ellen while she was still president of the Friends,
Okay.
and has stayed on, of course, as a member of the Friends to assist in fundraising, especially. And I have a presentation, and we just basically have to set a date for the staff to make that pitch. And there's been already of the existing and current board members of the Friends of Mound House, a willingness to entertain the ask. We're gonna be asking for $25,000
Okay.
to kind of help make up as close as possible to what we had last year.
Okay.
Most of that being in education, collections, office supplies, and staff training.
And I can just interject that the incoming board of directors, so that would be Beverly Milken is the president, and Mike Hughes is the vice president and also the secretary, and Nancy Smith remains the treasurer. And they all are in support of whatever the ask is, and if the ask needs to be augmented, they're entertaining that idea as well.
Great. Wonderful. Is Beverly planning to have sort of a presentation to our advisory board? Because I think now that there is a changing of the guard at the Friends, we need to kind of, again, kind of review the goals and working together.
Right. I will certainly talk with her about that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that she wouldn't want to do that.
Right, I would think, because I think now that, you know, she's president, I'd like to know what her plans are, both short and long term. I
Okay.
think we'd find that all very interesting. And maybe she's in a position to reach out to the Friends membership and get volunteers for the Mound House as well.
We've discussed that as part of our transitioning of responsibilities. And I am staying on as chief fundraiser.
Fantastic, oh, the best. That's what she does so well.
Yes, she has. And, yeah, I would like to say, if I could, just that Ellen has done a fabulous job as far as
Oh.
fundraising and just as in charge of the Friends. I don't know where she gets her energy, but, you know, it's like, oh, I'll take care of it. I'll do it, and it's done.
And
So
she
she
does
is,
it.
and she does it. She's just a little Energizer bunny, and I want to thank you for all the hard work you put in.
It's a labor of love.
It's true.
Well, it's
Thank
much
you.
appreciated
Yes,
by
much
us all.
appreciated.
And so thank you, Adam, and we're delighted with this sort of to-do list. Even though we don't have an official strategic plan, it's nice to get this on our, in our file so that we can follow up appropriately. And working with Jeff, obviously, until a new director comes into play. Now, before I go on to the museum assessment report, which I know Adam is going to be in charge of, and it's not really on the agenda, but it needs to be, I'd like to have a conversation about the Newton Park. Jeff, what is the plan or no plan?
The current plan is we're still going through the CDBG DR. We have about $3.5 million of funding that we got passed through from the county, which is actually passed through from HUD. The county got it from HUD. So we're currently, we put it out for design. We had 5 people that had expressed interest in doing the design. So what we had then found that there was a little bit of an error in the bid, so we had to rebid it again. So luckily, there are 5 people that want to design it, which is different than one for the North Tower and one for the pool. That at least we have options. So once that goes through, we'll have an advisor. Our selection committee will rank them. And then we have to do 2 public interviews with them. It's a little different than the normal bid process. HUD and Lee County require us to do public interviews and not just select the one that we think is most responsible and best. That doesn't always mean lowest bid. That means most responsible that we can get. And so we have 2 public hearings. We already had that for the North Tower, and we had one for the pool, which are recorded meetings where we ask a series of questions to see if we feel that they qualify as a designer. So right now we are still working through that process. It's been, I want to play it nice. It's been a longer process than we had hoped. It has to go from us to, it goes from HUD to the county to us, and then kind of in reverse. And if there's any changes with the contracts, it goes in the reverse again. So it's double checked, I'd say a number of times, and with all of our CDBG-DR projects, it's, we'll just say not going as quick as we had hoped. We are still following the process. We still have that money earmarked for us. It's just going through this process has been difficult as far as the paperwork goes. So it's not something we're sitting on the paperwork, or they are. It's just the shuffling of it, just to get the bureaucracy out, to get everything posted and bid the right way, is taking a long time.
So the Newton Park is folded into those 2 other projects so that
They're separate. We had 3 different projects that were approved. That's a standalone where we're going to be redoing Newton Park. That's $3.5 million just for Newton Park. We did have that concept plan that we kind of liked from the R2P2 that we did get community input from. So that should be one of the quicker ones we can get done as far as design, because we already have kind of a conceptual plan. There's not a building structure going in. Like obviously the pool or the North Water Tower, that's going to be a little more with design and engineering. This one shouldn't have as much. That's the one.
would it be, well, I
So-
guess what I'm getting at is would it be helpful to have a public, have,
When you said
have
public
members of the
hearing.
community show up and say, this is important to us?
I'm not sure how that would speed up the
Okay,
process.
all right.
We've been pushing as much, and they push back on stuff we give them, so it's kind of a, you know, it's not one place holding up the other, it's the process that's holding it up. Does that make sense? We were hoping, you know, we'd get the money right away, and we were all excited, and we still are excited for the opportunity. I mean, we don't have any other funding for those projects, so this is kind of it, to do it. So it's, and I know it's with the pool in the North Tower too. I get emails all the time, and I want it to go quicker, and it's not from the lack of us trying. We meet twice a week on it, once with the county, once internally, to try to make sure we have our ducks in a row, and it's nothing we're doing as staff to slow up the process. It's just a process, and we knew it was. I mean, we knew we probably could have someone on staff just working on this grant alone. So we're all working on it as a team. There's not one staff that's doing it on their own. We have a team, I think, of 5 or 6 of us that meet with Tidal Basin and the grant funding department there. So I just want to rest assured that we are going through the right steps. It's not going as quick as anybody wants, and even the county, you know, they want this to proceed a lot quicker too. But it's just we've ran into some stumbling blocks at no fault of probably anybody but the system in the process. So right now we just put a better fence up so no one drives into it. I don't know if you noticed that.
I saw the fences going up
Some
yesterday.
temporary fencing, just to be safe. We had 2 people try to pull into the Strandview side and pull in and got stuck. So, and it's also, I think Chad is going to be using it, our environmental manager, for the dune planting. He'll be using that.
Okay, so they're still using that property for the dune plantings?
Yeah, they'll use it a little bit. They haven't been needing it as much, but once they get down to that way, I think they're at Palm Avenue right now, so they have their trailer and stuff set up there. But so yeah, that's kind of the process. And I'm sorry it was a long explanation about Newton, but I don't want people to think it's kind of dead in the water. We're still working through the process, and I really can't give you a timeline on it. But I hope and I think that will be one of the quicker projects to actually take off and finish, because it is a lot of vegetation there. It's not a whole lot of actual construction going on besides the parking lot. So
I know this is a topic that is near and dear to Carrie's heart, so I'd like to know what Carrie wants to add to this conversation.
I mean, I like the explanation. I'd like to get it done sooner, of course, which I think everybody would, just because it's so close to our home and it's been empty forever. And, you know, at least we don't have trash piled up on it anymore and all the other stupid stuff that was there. So that's happy to know. So other than that, I mean, if I can help move things along or anything that I can do, I'm here to help you guys.
yeah, and I do want to just, I guess on that point, Carrie, yeah, we've been taking care of it, but also I think everyone that uses it takes care of it too.
Yeah.
With the restroom, we knock on, if this is even wood, knock on wood, we haven't had anything wrong with the restroom trailers. You know, where Palm Avenue, we've had the door ripped off several times. Looks like somebody took a hammer to the inside of it. It just gets trashed, and the one at Newton, people are really taking care of. So I hope it's, you know, the neighbors around there that are really kind of taking care of it and using it appropriately. But that site has been definitely a lot better than some of the other ones, and we want to get it back to what Newton should be for sure.
Yeah, and I think that everyone, you know, just remembers how Newton Park was. Even people that are on their boats in the back there, they talk about it all the time, and they utilize going to the beach that way. So I know that we had a little bit of an issue with a homeless person, but that was taken care of. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Any other questions?
I just had a
Yes.
quick question for Jeff. Jeff, the RTD2 conceptual design, how does that differ than the design work that's currently out for bid? Is that to make it more shovel-ready, or?
It's just a conceptual design. Your question
So
was?
you said you're waiting for this bid for design work.
Yep.
But we already have the R2D2 design work. That's not granular enough, is that?
No, it's basically just a sketch of, there was a,
Conceptual.
yeah, it's conceptual.
Okay.
It doesn't have any types of any detail to it, irrigation, the actual plants that are gonna go in there, the spatial issues. It was somebody at the R2P2 that was drawing it up as we were discussing.
And then, so once that bid is let and the design work is done, then we'll have another bidding for the construction work?
Correct.
Gotcha, thank you.
And that 3.5 million covers the cost of this new design firm? Is that just under
The
that
whole-
same
yep,
scope
all-
of services?
Yep, the whole service.
So, actually, Vice Mayor, you brought up a good point, and I have a question about that as well, because I do recall that was kind of our communal thought, a consensus that we agreed upon with regard to what that park was ultimately going to look like, and what do you think the design firm, this new design firm, would bring that would radically shift that?
They need to put it into construction bid.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
more
a design team
details.
will put in, linear fence, setbacks, those kind of things. But that, if you look at the drawing, how great it was and how much we love it, and that's the design, the conceptual design I want to go with. We don't have an actual design that can go out to bid.
Got it, yes.
There's things in a design that isn't just a picture, there's,
right.
Especially with the parking lot, we got to engineer how many spots can be there based on, the size of the lot, those kind of things, how many ADA spots have to be on there. So there's
And working within the budget as well.
yeah, I mean, elevation plans, those kind of things. None of this had that. It was just, it was a picture that we liked and conceptual drawing of how the layout was. But yeah, it wasn't a design by any means. It was more conceptual.
So it's really the specifications have to be set.
Correct, yeah. So when we go out to bid, that's how people bid on the construction part of it is how those are set. So, I mean, we can look at a picture and say, I think that's a, that's a sea grape, but I don't know what it shows on the picture. But, so it's more in detail and those kind of things.
Is it a 3-gallon or is it a whatever?
Right, yeah, those specifications. So yeah, as much as we like the design and want to go with that, it's still gonna have to be designed to go out for bid.
And I guess Jim probably has a question too. Does that 3.5 million cover those swings?
That's key point, of course, but I think, but the 3.5 covers the design work and the construction,
Correct, the whole project, yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, but yeah, and the swings are in the picture if you've seen it.
There we go. Okay.
Do you have any concept that that's enough to do what we want to do?
I don't right now. We're hoping that's probably gonna be it. That's kind of what we envisioned when we kind of set out for the ask.
Okay.
Was that would be plenty to make it how we wanted it. We knew there wasn't gonna be, obviously a cottage there anymore, historic building. So, we did add in some bigger things, like some bigger cheeky huts, those kind of things that can provide shade for weddings or parties, for that. So yeah, that should be, now with costs rising, and we saw how that happened with Bay Oaks. You hope it's good, but at least this, we're not necessarily building anything per se. We're gonna do a couple walkovers over some holding ponds there and some swales, but nothing major. So this should come in budget.
So that original idea of an open pavilion is now off the table?
No, that's the open pavilion. Yeah, it'll be more of a big cheeky
Oh,
hut.
so you're calling that a cheeky hut?
Yeah.
Okay, because that would hold maybe, you were thinking 100 people or something?
No, they were thinking there was the pavilion and then there was a grass area even back. And when they did the R2P2, they said something around like 300 people could be under there.
Yes.
As far as a wedding goes, I don't know the exact number, but it was well over 100.
Yes, it was pretty sizable.
Yeah, yep. So that was, and then if on the grassy area, I mean, we can get into that later. That if we want to get a tent for it, or somebody could rent a tent if they wanted more shade, they can do that.
For subsequent advisory board meetings, can you have the Newton Park part of the agenda?
Sure.
On a regular basis so that we can get updates as.
Yeah, absolutely,
we get
yep.
additional information. And of course, if there's no additional information, we can then move on, but we can have that, officially as an agenda item. I think that's important also for the community to recognize that we haven't just dropped the conversation. It's important for the community to understand that we're on it to the extent that any bureaucracy can be.
No, I agree, because we do the same for the pool, because
Exactly.
that's another one that we want to just kind of say it's moving at this pace.
Right.
We all want it open tomorrow,
Yeah.
you know, but
It's not off the table.
It's not off the table, and luckily we have funding for it. For a long time, we didn't have funding for these things. This one kind of just stuck, luckily, and we got it funded. So we want to keep moving the ball forward so that funding doesn't go away for some reason, so.
And this is not budget related, that's the other nice thing. This was all through additional funding.
Correct, yep. It was through additional funding and not a match grant, which was even better, that we don't have to match those funds.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Okay, so back to Adam, and we're going to have a conversation about the museum assessment report and the post-action plan. And to that extent, you really put together, I think, a really nice, I'm trying to find the report here.
Yeah, it should be,
Synopsis, post-map action plan.
yes, it is the post-map action plan. It's
So
a
we'll go through this one, yes.
3-page document. So basically, as it says on the top, instead of combing through the entire, I think it was 100-page plus
Which is what this
report,
is, yes, exactly.
the folks with the American Alliance Museums and the Institute of Museum Library Services, they proposed this, which, side note, we're very lucky that we got accepted this year because they're not doing it again this year. There's no funding through the Institute of Museum Library Services to fund this program. So we're actually pretty lucky we got in last year when they still had funding
Because
available.
had we applied for it, we would not have been able to work to this. Wow.
Yes.
Good
So, you know,
timing.
it was an awkward time with Milton and Helene and everything, and we have a good roadmap, and this is kind of what it is. It's kind of a roadmap, especially because we don't have a strategic plan.
Exactly.
This is kind of a pre-strategic plan, a plan to help us get to the stage where we can get to have a strategic plan. And in the last meeting, Madam Chair, you asked if staff would prepare and list which of the recommendations were already accomplished by staff, since the report was initially submitted to the town on November 29th, 2024. So staff were able to get those more low-hanging fruits, and CELCAB helped with that as well. So we can kind of go line by line, and these again are all the recommendations, just to clarify, that are in the map report that the American Alliance of Museums, the national accrediting institution that provides which museums are and are not accredited, which of course opens the doors up for funding, for grants, and as really a mark of prestige that an institution is doing everything that it's supposed to do under best practices is kind of a signal for organizations, and especially, like, for example, many museums, like we talk about exhibits and rotating exhibits and attracting new people. If you're not accredited, most other museums that are accredited will not loan to your organization because you don't have that stamp that shows you have all the procedures that will take care of their artifacts that they're lending to you on display. So it kind of is they don't have to ask questions or poke or probe or read through our policies and procedures. This accreditation is a map that this is a museum that is doing everything by the books, by procedure, by policy, by the best practices of science and research in the field of museum science. So this will be a very helpful resource for staff, for CELCAB members, for the council, for community members, for volunteers, to kind of see which of the recommendations the American Alliance Museums recommended to council and the town, which ones will be accepted or rejected. Again, these are all recommendations, they're not mandates. But if they are all accepted, which is the recommendation from staff, to accept the recommendations from the American Alliance Museums, it will definitely place the Mound House in a very strong position to apply for accreditation. Any questions so far about that kind of preamble? No? Okay, we can go kind of just line by line. The first recommendation is write and approve a new strategic plan. Now that one's kind of on hold, especially as the town is working on a strategic plan. So from my understanding, it's kind of waiting for that larger town-wide strategic plan to be finished, and then for the Mound House staff, the museum manager specifically, and CELCAB to work on developing a strategic plan specifically for Mound House. as of course, the town, being a municipality, might not have all the fine details that would be needed for a museum-specific strategic plan. But we'll have a good framework in terms of especially overall direction from the council and the overall foresight of this multi-year process.
Do you have any sense of when, if the town has it on their to-do list, is to create a strategic plan for the town?
Yes,
There
it's
was-
going, oh, Jim, I'll let you.
I mean, you know, probably, you probably sit in those meetings, Jeff, but it's ongoing, it's phased in over the next few months. Tracy Kohler, our assistant town manager, is taking the lead on that, and there's a whole schedule for it to be
Okay.
implemented, and it's been formalized, but Jeff, do you know where we
Yeah,
are
we've
in
been
that
going
process?
through the process. Of course, when you hire a company, there's a process that goes. So we've gone through the community process, we've gone through the staff process. I want to say they're getting close to wrapping it up as far as the process goes. Sorry, I keep saying process, but to write the actual, to start writing the strategic plan. Now, I don't know what that entails after they get all their information from all these different entities, but I know they are working at it that way, and I know the staff input was one of the last ones as far as where they're sitting, but I don't know how long it'll then take to write a strategic plan.
So Jeff, you were saying that they have already gone through the community input. What kind of community input did they get with regard to the Mount House?
Those are the ones that were down at Bay Oaks.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yep, when they had that artist
Yes,
there.
The consultants that
yeah,
came
yeah,
in?
yeah.
Yep, so that was
So we
that
all
group.
participated.
We did.
Yes, you both, yes.
But I don't know that that was specifically geared to Mount House or even Bay Oaks, except they wanted it open. But again, with regard to the details of a strategic plan, I think the intent was that we would dovetail these into their larger strategic plan. So I just want to know what conversations are going on with regard to that.
Yeah, so I don't remember, and
I think Mr. Suggestion, Madam Chair, is maybe we invite Tracy to our next CELCAB meeting, and she could give an update and figure out how to marriage what she's doing with what CELCAB's needs are.
Wonderful, what a great
Yeah.
idea.
yeah, because right now it's not even really, it's not an internal staff conversation.
She-
They're just putting the pieces. She's putting the pieces together to get this.
She's extremely well-organized and well-spoken, and I think she could really help. It would be good to have that conversation with her as a committee.
Yeah.
So
I'll
is-
I'll invite her to the next one.
Yeah, thank you, that would be wonderful, because then we can get a better idea of, because I think that was what our conversations were months ago about, because we don't have a strategic plan, we didn't want to work on one until the town was doing theirs, so we would be in sync with them.
And Vice Mayor, do you remember the initial one we had, and they said how long that was going to take, and we were.
I have to confess, there's 2 or 3 different strategic planning exercises that have occurred.
Sure.
And they get a little intermeshed in my mind.
Well-
But Tracy could delineate
Yeah,
all that.
we'll let Tracy do that, because I want to say it was initially longer than we were obviously hoping, and we were trying to cut that number down.
Yes,
so.
that's absolutely true, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So she can be on hopefully next month's agenda.
I will ask Dr. Kohler to be on
All
next
right,
one. yeah.
great, thank you.
So the next one would be to rewrite the existing field election management plan. I wrote one, part of a class with Dr. Aaron Richards through the American Alliance of State and Local History. And then the peer reviewer recommended to add just basically 2 things. One, and by far the largest, would be an insurance policy. So currently the Mound House only has a building insurance. All the artifacts are not insured. So the town should look into, I know bad timing with the time of the year, but a additional insurance policy for the artifacts, especially what's known as a fine arts insurance policy. The best example is Mount Vernon has an insurance policy for the building. And then they have a fine arts policy for George Washington's chair. If you had a normal insurance policy and the chair broke, your insurance company would say, oh, we're going to write you off a wicker chair. A fine arts policy would say, no, that's George Washington's chair. It's made from this fabric. It's made from this material, from this artisan, from this time period. It's assessed at a much higher value, so you can get a better replacement or at least a monetary compensation for that. So currently we just have kind of a a wall-to-wall insurance coverage for the Mound House. We don't have a fine arts policy for any of the insurances, let alone insurance that would cover any loans for traveling exhibits. So that needs to be added, and Brianna and I have already worked on that extensively.
And
So
that again would be another cost that we cannot incur this
Mm-hmm.
year because of budget cuts. So even if we, identified, say, Huntington T. Block, who is a fine art insurance firm, they're very pricey, because I've worked with them in the past, that, while it's a great idea and they're wonderful, we can't hire them, we simply can't afford it. But
Yeah.
it is a game plan for future action.
Yes, so again, with best practices, they're the best practice. That's what we're always striving to achieve. There's, the Met, MoMA, some of these, the British Museum, there are some things they're lacking. Whenever I did my training at the Smithsonian, there are rooms in their collection storage that didn't have fire extinguishers at the Smithsonian. And this was in December to give better,
feel
before
better.
budget cuts. So it's not that if we don't do all of these things and we're not 100% perfect, we're not doing a good job. Working towards it is doing the good job. The
Okay.
process. That's the process again.
Same
That's-
process
It's the favorite word these days.
of mine. For
Yes. And then going on, explore staff, contracted or volunteer marketing and events coordinator for Mound House. Probably more on the volunteer side, given the budget constraints. Reclassify the museum's collections as cultural assets rather than financial assets. That's kind of almost already been done in terms of conversations. I had conversations with Joe, with the peer reviewer. He met with the finance department. It's always good to, and right now they're not considered as cultural. They're considered, I forgot the exact terminology, but they are safe. So there was a concern, and there's always a concern that artifacts would get lumped in with like computers and chairs, and if something bad happened,
Inventory.
and there's, goodness forbid, knock on wood, something bad to happen financially dire to the town has to start selling assets off, that the town doesn't start selling off artifacts. So that's kind of a safeguard, and it's kind of more of an administration thing that you just put it to another Excel column, and the finance department have confirmed that the artifacts are like, and everything at Mound House and the Mound House property, especially because it's through the Florida Communities Trust, that it was purchased through state grants, that the town can't get rid of it. They would have to give it back to the state for nothing. They can't sell Mound House or sell artifacts. Same with Newton Beach Park. Those are very special properties that the town got through grant funding with the county and the state. So everything at Mound House, because the artifacts are tied to it, they're safe as well. And then collection storage, that has been accomplished. We had a meeting about that in CELCAB in late fall or early spring, this past spring, where we moved the collection into the Artifact Preservation Center that's in the museum itself to provide better access and safety. We've purchased museum-grade cabinets, and we have stored them, and Brianna is starting the process of getting everything set for the actual cataloging, because we have no inventory for the artifacts. We have, again, the artifacts, and we have bags with smudged and faded expo marker from the first excavation, but it hasn't been maintained. Some of the bags are dissolving. So we need to start rebagging, rewriting, and placing them in proper boxes. So that's an ongoing process that Brianna and the team will start doing with the cataloging process. So as we're going through,
Hasn't she already begun?
she's basically gone through the documentation and sorted what we have and what we don't have, especially. And we have the room and the shelving. We just have to do basically the individual baggies. So each of those large banker boxes,
Right.
they should be museum grade boxes that aren't cardboard. And each of those big bags have smaller bags. Inside those bags are even smaller, like dime bags. And some of them are really detailed with code and number that we have no reference towards. So like 8L5-V, that without
corresponding.
documentation or the actual records for the inventory, the excavation logs from the initial excavations from the early 2000s, it's meaningless. it doesn't mean anything. You need to have that code to decode the information. So those bags haven't been written on since you're supposed to basically re-bag your artifacts every year. That was never done. They were bagged initially, so everything's still in the grab bags. So it's a lengthy process, and Brianna will be looking for volunteers. Especially, there's gonna be a lot of bagging and sorting and keeping everything straight so we don't get anything separated or mixed up. So that'll be in the process. But in terms of the storage cabinets and the room itself that we actually can safely and securely perform this work, that's already been accomplished per the peer reviewers' recommendations. And that kind of goes into the next one, investigate the possibility of full-time collections internships or fellowships. Given the budget year, that probably won't happen anytime soon, but volunteers especially, she's already reached out and got successful feedback from professors, various archaeological professors at universities across the
Wonderful.
state, who've offered even as far away as Boca Raton at
Nice.
Florida Atlantic University to bring their students over for the day and help do a whole cataloging day with the artifacts. Next, writing an emergency preparedness plan specifically for Mound House. That's been accomplished and added to the larger town emergency management plan. So the town has their larger emergency plan, but then also the Mound House staff have their own specific emergency plan specific for the Mound House property. Next one, writing an integrated pest management plan and housekeeping plan. We have a housekeeping plan, but we don't have an integrated pest management plan. That's the second part of the collection management policy typically. Some organizations do it separately. Some organizations have it as a part of the larger collection management policy. It's kind of just dealer's choice on that one. But that one has to be investigated a little bit more. A daily walkthrough checklist that kind of was folded into the housekeeping plan for the museum. The next one is to recruit new CELCAB members, which we have a surplus of applicants, from my understanding, in conversations with the clerk's office. So we have new applicants and returning applicants as well to apply for CELCAB. So it'll be a tough choice for council.
So council will get a chance to.
The race is on.
Well, the last time I was with Amy, I did not see that, Adam. There are more applicants than there are positions?
From my understanding, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think there's
It's +1.
+1, yeah. So
Okay.
we have a choice.
I did not see that.
Not we, you have a choice.
9 times out of 10, I'm going with the incumbent. How's that?
One of the nice things that I learned was a member of FPAN, Natalie, the one that gave a talk here last month, not actually in this building, but during our last meeting, she's interested in filling a vacant position. So she would be wonderful.
Yeah.
A real benefit to CELCAB. And you don't have to live on the island to be
And I'm
able
sorry,
to
she has made the application?
Yes,
And-
she
and
has.
forgive me, what was her name again?
Natalie.
Okay, thank you.
And in fact, I think you've got it in the,
It's in the
staff
It was in the
report.
minutes above.
Yeah, but she
In the
came to
minutes, yes, in the minutes of last month's meeting. Her name is
Natalie de la Torre Salas.
And Betty's position is now available because her position was not up until next year.
Right.
That's true.
So do we have two?
So there are 4 open positions
There are.
and 5 applicants.
Oh,
And obviously with Betty's passing, that means there would be one position short for the applicants then, right?
That's a part of the 4
Yeah.
openings.
All right, thank
oh,
you.
that's wonderful. Yeah.
So you all will be voting on that in October?
It's my understanding that'll be October 6th at our Monday meeting.
is that
Yes.
one?
Okay, and then that would be then for our next CELCAB meeting, they'd be coming to the
new
next,
one.
very next meeting, yeah.
Yes, the new CELCAB, so the next CELCAB meeting, October, election of officers and everything.
Okay.
October, next CELCAB meeting, since we're on that subject, I don't want to forget this. When is the next CELCAB meeting, just to confirm?
I didn't look.
Shoot, I don't have it. I have it on my phone.
Third.
I won't be here.
Yes, you've marked that off your
I
list
have.
already. You've already
I was
deleted
gonna
it.
say, boy.
It should be the
Projection.
23rd.
Should be the
Okay,
23rd.
October
The next
23rd?
October 23rd.
And that'll still be at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's on
That
the
works.
town calendar as the October 23rd at 1 PM.
Yep, it's every fourth Thursday, except for for November and December, then it's the third
Okay.
Thursday.
Then it's the holidays, okay.
Because
Excellent.
Thanksgiving and New Year's
Christmas.
Eve, or one of them.
So in November, it'd be on the 20th then, correct? 'Cause that-
Correct. Otherwise, the 27th is.
That is
Thanksgiving.
correct, 20th.
Okay.
November 20th, 1
In
PM.
December, it'd be on the 18th then, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Carrie.
thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
I've even got a calendar in front of me, and I
Yeah, I
can't
know.
figure it out.
And on November 20th, we're up against the sand sculpting contest. Or not, I mean, it's not a contest, the sand sculpting event.
No, it's a contest.
Contest, they
Oh, yeah,
vote,
it's a
right?
contest.
Yeah.
That's right, there's a prize.
And they are extending it. It's going to be really good this year.
Okay, Adam,
I mean,
I'd
it's
like
always
for you to continue the report, please.
Yeah, so so the AM recommends recruiting new CELCAB members and recruiting new Friends members, as I said, to engage new people and new audiences and keep and engage new members of the community with the running and operations of Mound House, so that we can continue growing the operational pool and the people who are passionate with the museum. The next recommendation was to involve council, CELCAB, and Friends in regularly visiting and meeting with the staff at the museum. That was a recommendation. This one is a recommendation for the Friends, actually, but he put it in there since the governance was a focus of this, tasking the Friends of recruiting new members.
Hey, Carrie,
Yes.
if you're typing, can you mute? We can hear your clacking on the
Oh, sorry.
keyboard. I'm sorry.
And your fingers look like spiders.
Yeah,
It's kind of fun.
I'm putting in all my dates for the meeting.
Move the
Yes,
screen
I'll
over.
mute that.
So I know the Friends
Sorry,
have,
I was hearing it in the background.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks.
so I know the Friends are, have been, even before the peer reviewer, been seeking and recruiting new Friends members. The next one would be writing and approve a code of ethics specific for the museum. I don't know if the town has a code of ethics. I haven't checked. I forgot. But there are 4 documents needed for accreditation for the American Alliance Museums. You need a strategic plan,
Values.
an emergency, or yeah, well, I guess 5, mission and values statement, your mission, vision, and value statement, your strategic plan, collection management policy, emergency management plan, and lastly, a code of ethics. So a common code of ethics, for example, a volunteer, staff member, someone who's involved with the museum can't be collecting, the same stuff the museum might be trying to collect. So we're an archaeological environmental museum. Volunteers and staff can't ethically, under a code of ethics, cannot have a own personal collection while they're employed or involved with the museum, because that's competition and a conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest.
So that's just one example of what a code of ethics might look like. Approve emergency management plan, kind of going into that already. I think it's been submitted, but I don't know if it's been approved by council. Do you know?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it's finished. I just don't know if it's got to the approval part on the council yet as far as the updated one.
For specifically the Mound House or for the town in general?
The Mount House one is added as an addendum, I guess, or an appendix for the town's larger one. It's in the back.
I don't believe it's come before the council, at least best of my
Yeah,
knowledge.
so just to be clear, the CMP, the emergency document that he's talking about has a townwide one, and then at the end has each department has their own specific, so the Mound House has their things they need to do to prepare 7 days in advance to a storm or post-storm. Bay Oaks, they do the same, Mooring Field has the same, so that's kind of what we're talking about.
Okay, so that really is developed by the museum manager, and then we get that to approve? Is that why CELCAB is listed?
Yeah, so ideally, the museum manager, the peer reviewer, as we've been doing, and how he's interpreting the town ordinances, the staff brings something like policy recommendation to the advisory board. The advisory board votes to recommend that to council, and then council accepts that recommendation or not.
Okay.
And as far as the emergency management, we've had that in there throughout. Adam just refined it, and did a better job of, the next steps instead of just a lump sum kind of thing.
And was there, excuse me, was there an emergency management plan for the Mount House prior to your arrival, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, there always was. It wasn't very robust.
okay.
In any
That's-
department, we
that's
really,
the part I really-
no one really thought of it, like even to put into a plan, take pictures of all serial numbers of everything you have. Because after Ian, we had to go to try to find all that, where if we would've just had it in one spot, it just was something that we went through and is now as part of our plan, so.
Okay,
It sounds simple, but
But
I think everyone knows too, is with their belongings, no one had all their belongings categorized.
I suspect after every storm, there has been additions made to whatever the plan is, because you find out, oops, we forgot that.
Yeah, after every year, it's supposed to be reviewed
Yeah,
by
yeah.
staff.
I bet things were learned after, they were probably learned after, well, not of them, we weren't in town.
Personally
But
as
after,
well.
but after Charlie, after Irma, after, you have all the ones in between whose names we forget.
agreed.
So yes, that would, I'm assuming would be a future agenda item for CELCAB, just like the collection management policy, since at least the one that's specific to Mount House. And then the next recommendation is explore federal, state grants for programs, collections, internships, and preservations. I didn't mark yes, but I have explored those left. It's a short list on the state and federal side for arts and culture. They're few and far between. There's a couple private grants, but overall, the peer reviewer stressed he saw the grants we've really only been applying for has been through the Friends, the local county grant. But he challenged us to go beyond the county to look at state and federal grants and grants at larger organizations like the Knight Foundation or the Bloomberg Philanthropy organization,
Yeah.
Bloomberg.
or the
is-
Ford Foundation.
Yes.
The American Association for Archaeology has grants specific to archaeological sites. Very small grants, $5,000, but it does help out, especially overall. And then, so that'd be the museum manager and staff doing that. Installation of another brown historical sign halfway down Connecticut, basically right at the stop sign. We've actually ordered that sign already. We just have to have it installed.
excellent.
Not a
Not
brown
only-
sign, but it's a sign that says, similar to the ones that are already out on the road. Actually, it is a brown sign. Just like the ones on Estero that have Mount House, the museum logo, and then the arrow will have the same thing, just with an arrow pointing forward. Because you drive down Connecticut Street, you see the Oakville parking lot, and you actually cannot see any signage until you get
Right,
literally
until
in
you get
front of the Mount House Museum because of the vegetation and foliage and how far back the Mount House sign is set back into the small parking lot. So, just having that extra sign to continue people forward, because even GPSs get it wrong sometimes. I can't tell you the number of times I've watched in waiting for a bus, FGCU, and I see them coming in from Shellmount, where they got lost somewhere in the
Oh,
Shellmount
wow.
neighborhood.
Yeah, they don't
And,
have
and they get turned around and there's no signage, because all they see when they come down is houses, residential houses and vacation rentals, and a big sign that says dead end.
Oh.
And there's no sidewalk, so
Yeah.
the sidewalk ends, so it's a little
So you
confusing.
said that sign's been ordered and delivered but not installed, is that,
Correct.
so why has it not been installed?
It's just on the list.
List of things to do.
Yeah, the
Yes.
Public Works Director
Public
needs
Works.
to
But you're
get
the
on
Public
that.
Works Director, Jeff.
That's why I said it quietly and mumbled.
Adam, at one point, I had a conversation with you where you talked about reorientating the entrance, because even once people get into the small parking lot, there's spaces available, they still get
don't know.
confused.
Yeah, so I haven't done any wayfinding studies. That's one thing I wish I could have done in my time here, to do a full visitor science evaluation study on the wayfinding, how people navigate the site. But just from being there for 5 years, 5 days a week, you're right, people, and as y'all have pointed out and can attest to, people get lost. You'll get people, you'll be standing waiting for the restroom, and people will walk into the garage, the office, and say, is this the Mound House? I've even had staff from the town hall come to deliver something, and they're parked right in front, asking, where's the museum? And when you only have 2 buildings,
Yeah, it has to
And
be
it seems
pretty
obvious to
sad.
us because we're familiar with the site, but for an outsider, you know, there's people who are kind of hesitant to come in and say, is this private? Because it looks like a private house. There's no
Does.
signage, there's no, and we have done a little bit with that with some of the wayfinding, the lovely rocks. But in terms of reorienting, there could be a whole bunch of things that can be done. One idea would be to basically force people to drive down the Shell Loop, Dan Hughes Way, to basically have them enter the bay side of the Shell Loop, drive in front of the Mound House, so they get a view of the property, pass the kayak launch around, and then orient the parking and move the do not enter signs from the gate to the road, whereby people have to drive around through the loop and then park, so they get a better understanding of the property, instead of parking, even when I first visited in 2019 for a lecture series, me and my husband, we parked and we stopped and we saw the small parking lot, and then we saw a sign and we saw it's for loading only. So even when we first visited, before I was hired, I was confused. So, you know, maybe making that loop one way and force people to take the loop. Conversely, you can, you know, close the loop. You know, that kind of restricts kayaking though, and like unloading and unloading. So that's like one easy fix, just moving those signs from the vehicle gate on the exit of the Shell Loop forward to the exit and now formerly entrance of that small parking lot. So you can kind of make it one way. So that's one idea. There's a couple things you can do, play around with it, but things like that could make it a little bit easier to navigate.
Is there any concern that additional traffic on that Shell Road would damage the roadbed itself?
No, that's a short answer.
Okay.
We don't have that much volume, and we already have people driving around. We already have buses. That's how
Yeah.
buses unload and offload, because the small parking lot isn't big enough anyway. So I would say
You
no.
don't think it would be an issue?
I
Okay.
think it would be net.
Okay.
Is that something that you've documented so that your successor will be aware of your thinking on that, or I guess you
Well,
can
that's
count on
what
us to?
this is sort of, not only for us, but also for the new museum manager, is sort of the to-do list of things that still are ongoing.
Yeah, I do have a presentation as well as in my documents.
good.
It's labeled wayfinding and outdoor signs. It's basically a whole photography for what a visitor would do if they parked at the overflow parking lot, and some of the logical directions they might see when they first park. Because there's a lot of little signs that you know, they kind of blend into the background. But there's a whole presentation on this as well, in addition to the document in front of you.
Now, you did label that road as Dan Hughes Way, I just heard.
Yes, that's the official name.
It is?
Yes.
And how would the public know that that is the name?
They wouldn't, I guess. So I think the resolution passed just before Ian, if my
Right.
memory serves. I'm a little rusty on that. Anything before Ian is a
Right.
little rusty.
It's BI, I know, everybody's
Actually, a lot of
BI
things,
and AI.
a lot of things after Newton were rusty as well. But yes, the council did pass a resolution naming that to Dan Hughes Way Loop. I don't think we actually, there was
Didn't
actually
really say.
in the proclamation what it was. I think it was just named after Dan Hughes. And there was talk about putting a little sign there. So that's something that can be done.
And that just, Mayor Ray Murphy asked me about it recently,
Did he?
so,
I
yes,
had a
so
feeling.
that
It
was-
happened relatively soon before Ian, maybe 6 months.
Yes,
before
I
Ian.
think,
Yeah,
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 so,
it
but he
was
wondered,
before.
you know, what's going on with that, so that might be a small sign we can add at some
Yeah,
point.
maybe some.
Okay.
Just continuing, do a yearly walkthrough with the sheriff, neighborhood services, EMS, fire. That's really good in terms of emergency management, just so if there is an emergency 911 call, the fire department knows if they can't get into the building, because your first natural instinct would be the front door is the front door of the Mount House, and that being a historic door, and, you know, the fire department, if they need to get into a building, they will get into a building.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll break down the door, they'll break in the French doors, no problem, because someone's life could be in danger. So I already did a walkthrough the last time we had a false alarm fire with some of the crew and the fire inspector about, you can break down the gift shop door. This one is not historic. If you need to get in, it's really wide and everything for y'all. And I've walked through and I've had conversations with Tom, the Director of Emergency Preparedness and Head of Neighborhood Services as well. But that's something to do on a yearly basis with Lee Sheriff, Neighborhood Services, the Fire Department, EMS. If they don't know where the observation pier is, that's going to be a little bit hard. If you think visitors are having a hard time navigating the site, how about a sheriff's department responding to an emergency? They're going to have a hard time navigating the site.
Sure.
And this year, the vegetation is so dense, you really can't see the observation pier until you get there. Which is lovely to have dense vegetation.
Yeah, and really, Mound House specifically too, but all of our properties should have that done as far as walkthroughs. So I know they're gonna do it at this building, we do it at Bay Oaks. Mound House should be definitely a part of that, as just a government entity anyway.
This next recommendation, this goes into a larger conversation, slightly larger. So the peer reviewer, the only thing he could think about is if we purchased a large gas generator and a large industrial pump to install on top of the mound next to the house, to basically be an active pump to replace the small sump pump for the underground exhibit to keep it from flooding. So that's, he gave his recommendation. I think there was even a question about what he thought about the underground. And this was also, just to give you more context, this wasn't after Milton. This was written in September. He visited September 2024, so he visited only a week before Helene and 2 weeks before Milton. So he was kind of thinking this as a way to prevent any future Ian damage. So that's kind of his recommendation on like a possible solution to have this large gas industrial generator and a large gas industrial pump built on top next to the house near the gift shop entrance. What that might look like, I don't know. Might ruin some sight lines, but that's a conversation for y'all to have. The next recommendation, have Mound House staff train in facilities maintenance for smaller issues. I've already worked with Seth in doing this. Seth is the from Public Works assigned to Mound House, and he's showed us all the tools. What happens if we do this? What do we do if the sprinklers break open, and kind of water shut off, electrical power shut offs, things like that. The smoke alarm's going off, the alarm's going off. There's a piece of wood protruding. There's a safety issue, and on Saturday there's limited staff in the town, and sometimes Mound House staff are make up half the staff for the town on Saturdays. So we definitely have to have a way for the Mound House staff to take care of facility maintenance issues that can be addressed until Monday, whenever there's a larger staff that can help us.
And Adam, we haven't really talked about this one, but we do have some public works staff that just work weekends, so we should get them trained at Mound House too if we haven't already, just so they're familiar with it. So if there is an emergency, we can call them and have them go out there too. But yeah, that's good.
And Adam had shared with me that Seth is the one that came up with the idea of taking the mural from the underground and installing it on the garage, which was just a wonderful idea. And I think he's to be commended for being that thoughtful.
Yeah, he does a great job. And just as a side note, Seth is the one I just tasked with putting up that brown sign in Connecticut, just on the task board. So
As we speak.
it got tasked.
That's a can-do move, Jeff. Well done.
The next one, looking for grants for a virtual classroom setup. That's when we had 2 educators, and Ashley and Franklin were driving to do off-site programming for Beach Elementary School when they're at San Carlos. But traffic is always an issue, even before Ian especially. Buses would get stuck or they wouldn't come because of the traffic issues. And there's a lot more schools. There's schools all over the state. What we're doing can be taught to schools in St. Augustine and Gainesville as easily as they can be in San Carlos Park or Heights Elementary School. So having virtual classroom setups to do a virtual field trip for individuals to also help expand revenue and outreach opportunities for the museum. And kind of set up the orientation gallery, probably be the best space since it already has an AV setup for that setup. On page 3, develop a process for evaluation for programs and exhibits. So a way to actually have almost like SMART goals, measurable goals in whether or not you're meeting those goals, and if there is education, how are you measuring education? Sure, you can have a personal anecdote of this couple came in and they had a great time, but having that concrete data can really help you in terms of applying for future grants, saying we have had, based on evaluation, we had X number of people do this, and we had this percentage do that. That can definitely help in terms of making us stand out in the very competitive grant field. Creating audio tour. The peer reviewer recommended Blueberg Connects, they're not taking on any new clients. However, just recently, Karina did a lot of late work, and Karina Brita is the museum development coordinator for Mount House. She found a very affordable app and got the town an amazing deal for a web-based program of an audio tour. So basically, we're going to be working with Brianna and Emily are very excited to do this as kind of a passion project. And once that gets implemented, that's when sent live, we're going to be collaborating with the Seminole Tribe of Florida and the Miccosukee Tribe of Florida Indians and the Florida Public Archaeology Network and the University of Florida in developing the content. And through this, we can have an audio tour, which will help with the staff shortages if people want to go around by themselves, and especially increase linguistic diversity. Spanish, French, Spanish, German, and Haitian Creole especially. And then they can have 99 languages, and they can add them at any point. So if we have, for example, a Korean bus group showing up with, 30 Korean speakers, we can change the app within 24 hours to have a Korean version. So that's how customizable the app is. And you can also have multiple tours. So there could be a tour of just Mount House. There could also be a tour that could be for the whole town's history and the whole island's history. There could be one for Newton specifically to help complement those existing signage, and again promote that linguistic diversity for visitors. So they're very excited about working on that project. Next recommendation, making a light meter to measure and control lights. The exhibit lights are currently halogen lights. They're too hot and too bright for exhibits. They're causing a lot of light damage. We need to upgrade to have LED lights. Again, funding is an issue. Perhaps there's assistance we can have from outside entities. The next one, getting clarification on the sunshine laws regarding CELCAB and Friends. That's been taken care of through the town attorney, through her very detailed sunshine law training presentation.
And I must say, not only did the attorney, speak at length with regard to the constraints, but I also have to commend the Friends for being very proactive and making shifts so that there wasn't the duplicity of efforts with regard to transparency. So congratulations to the Friends is
Yes.
really what I want to say. Congratulations.
Yes, definitely taking that, that first peer review meeting and kind of taking it upon themselves and hearing some of that feedback and, hearing the potential conflict of interests or conflicts of interest between CELCAB members and Friends being the same individuals.
Right.
And kind of taking that charge onto themselves, and that issue is kind of no longer
It's
pressing.
no longer an issue.
It's no longer an issue
Nothing
at
but an
all.
issue.
So much applaud to the Friends organization and I guess y'all, because it's the issue of being on CELCAB and meeting outside, not being a Friends board member and being on CELCAB. It's being on CELCAB since we're a publicly appointed organization. So that's really great
That
progress.
was an accomplishment. Big check.
Yes. The next one, change in the flow of exhibits. So visitors see the history of the building first. So he recommended basically swapping out the living room exhibit into more of an orientation gallery on, why is there a house on a mound? And kind of getting that right there, because right now it talks about the Case family, but it's talking about okay, but why did they build a house on the mound? Who are the Calusa? Why am I here? So kind of, going into that existing old strategic plan about updating and rotating exhibits.
Cost a lot of money.
And again, funding. Funding is an issue, but there are a lot of exhibit things that can be done for cheap. So for example, the there's not a lot of signage in that room to begin with. There's the big panel, but if you remove the furniture and the big panel, you can have signs made for under $100 with images and text, and that can be a rotating exhibit room. You know, there's a lot of possibilities. You can move the gift shop to the orientation gallery and make the gift shop the Tudor-style kitchen. Maybe that can be a temporary exhibit space. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different, you know, possibilities with changing the exhibit flow so it goes more in a chronological order instead of, you know, house and then you go upstairs and then you see the
well, then
Calusa.
You know, the orientation room too.
Yeah, the
that's
orientation
yeah.
gallery being second.
Right,
on your
that
journey.
should be first, right,
Yes.
agreed.
And then mission and vision needs to be reviewed. That should be done anyway, part of the larger strategic planning process. But the current mission for the Mountain House is quite lengthy and frankly oddly specific, especially the usage of 2,000 years. In my opinion, that 2,000 years can be taken out. It doesn't serve too much a purpose. It's also confusing what 2,000 years? 2,000 years Calusa, 2,000 years from now, 2,000 years in the future. So like right now, the mission is, any takers?
Takers on,
The mission?
yeah, it's 2,000 years of history, environmental history of,
Yeah.
of
Southwest Florida.
Fort Myers Beach and Southwest Florida.
Yeah, it's, the whole mission is to preserve, share, and interpret 2,000 years of cultural and environmental history of Fort Myers Beach and Southwest Florida. So it's pretty lengthy, there's a lot of ands. So a general rule of thumb, missions should be able to be remembered verbatim on the top of the head for anyone making decisions about it, because your mission is, if you're making decisions about the organization, you should know what the organization is. And then another rule of thumb, a lot of organizations, they put on the back of their business cards. That forces them to have a short mission that's easily rememberable, but also one that's always present, another place to post your mission. And we've actually added our mission more prominently on our website and on our newsletters. And then lastly, revisit strategic planning process quarterly. So it's not just a one and done, and you guys were already doing that before Hurricane Ian, revisiting the strategic planning process. It's just getting back in that groove.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's all his recommendations.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing, Adam, is that, you know, this has been such a comprehensive report, and obviously a game plan going forward, but also now that you are leaving,
it's good.
it gives, you know, the next museum manager a menu of things that now are on the front burner, maybe not budget-wise, but something that should not be forgotten. But this was based on the recommendations from the map reviewer that came. And then we've had, I know we had our meeting last month, we reviewed part of his recommendations and finalizing this. I think before Sherry leaves.
I have to leave, I'm sorry.
And I know it didn't say this in the agenda, but if this is actually requiring board action. So I'd like for CELCAB to make a motion that we accept this plan that Adam developed for us moving forward to, for short and long-term goals. So may I have I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Becky.
And I will second it.
And you'll second it, Ellen, okay. It's been moved and seconded that the plan that Adam presented for future action on behalf of CELCAB and council and staff be implemented,
So this will go to council next, correct?
To be
So we
adopted.
should
Yes.
all
to
vote.
be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Unanimous vote for. Thank you.
Sorry, I have to leave.
Thank
I
you.
have an appointment.
I know
so,
you do.
Yes,
Thank you for being
the
here.
meeting's over.
anytime, I'll see
Thank you for waiting until the
Wait,
vote.
the-
Yes, anytime.
Just for the record, I'd like to add the idea that I just want to flesh out a little
There's
bit.
no quorum anymore.
I don't think there's a quorum anymore.
Oh, but we had a
No.
quorum when she was still here and voted.
Yeah, but we can't continue the meeting.
Oh,
Right.
Well, even with Carrie?
Carrie.
Yeah, she doesn't count as a vote?
That's in person.
So I don't,
She counts,
well, actually,
I
we
thought
we can continue, we just can't vote on anything.
that's right, that's
Yeah.
it.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So let's go that route.
Okay.
How do you
It's a good conversation. It's Adam's last meeting, we might as well
how do you
extend
vote
it.
to adjourn?
We don't. We stay here forever.
Yeah, right.
I just wanted to clarify, not clarify, just for, when you say look for grants for a virtual classroom, are you thinking about having a vehicle of some type?
Great question. The virtual classroom, so using like Zoom or Teams or a webinar situation, so using technology
Gotcha.
to have a class log in from Georgia or Iowa through Zoom or virtually, just like Carrie's doing.
Like a Zoom, like a
Okay, so you wouldn't
YouTube
need a
video.
vehicle.
No, it wouldn't be a vehicle. We have a very nice Maverick. That's the utilities department is letting us use.
Well, I mentioned that.
to you guys.
Yes.
I was involved with the Children's Museum in Ann Arbor, and we had a mobile classroom.
Mhm.
And I was thinking that's something that you could go to an automotive dealership and get them to sponsor something like, get them to sponsor it. But I mean, there are sources of that, so if that would be of interest, I think that would be something that an organization that wants to help raise money might be interested in helping with.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, we have
We
a
used
lot
to
of
have
things.
one.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, we used to have I don't know if you want to, anybody wants to talk about that, with a wall or a,
It was a
Yeah.
cart.
Yeah, we had the
That won awards.
an award-winning in 2011. It was the Calusa carts.
Yes.
It was basically a mobile mound house, in that it had actual shell midden material that would be organized as a way for people to see the various layers, and it'd be taken to festivals, and it would kind of be towed like a trailer
Right.
around, and it was very popular. I don't have any real documentations what happened to it. I found pieces of it over the years in the shed. It was kind of disassembled. From my understanding, it was, I think we lost the ability to tow it, and we didn't have a way to tow it, and then it was way too heavy, especially
Very
for
heavy.
volunteers,
I remember hearing.
because I think it was like steel, steel on steel. And it was quite a lengthy setup. So even like 2 volunteers would have a difficulty setting it up at festivals. So I think it got phased out. We also have the Maverick, a truck that we use to drive out, that we load up with our tent and tables and replica artifacts, that we would drive out to like the Burrowing Alpha Festival, Naples Pride, all these large festivals that get hundreds, thousands of visitors, that we engage with and hand out information, upcoming events, general awareness. And then from Hurricane Ian, we had 2 vehicles that we had the insurance money from. We had a electric cart, an electric buggy, that was for one of the maintenance workers when we had 2 maintenance workers assigned to Mount House. And then we had a 6-passenger electric shuttle bus cart thing.
the Moundmobile.
Basically, so that's it. We didn't bring it to outreach. We basically would only run it from the outreach off-site parking lot to Mount House. I think its top speed was 12 miles an hour. So, and it turned on a nickel.
Did somebody
Not a
write
dime.
that down?
Yeah, it's all in the records. The financial
It
department
is. Oh my
has
goodness.
that. So yes, we just haven't replaced it because we haven't had a need for either vehicles. But that insurance money is earmarked for Mount House specifically. So
Okay. Anything more, Adam? That's it?
no, that's
Does this
only
report go to MAP in any way in terms of your final communication with MAP before you leave?
No, that ended back in June.
Oh, okay, so
Um,
that communication is basically
That my
closed.
well, unfortunately, from my understanding, unless they're watching and they can email me, the MAP program, because it was funded through including the employees that were hired through the Institute Museum Library Services, I believe they were laid off in the federal budget cuts in the springtime to the National Endowment for the Humanities, as well as the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is the federal arm,
IMLS, yes.
IMLS, the federal agency for museums in the United States. So I think they lost their job. They sent an email basically saying, we're going to try and stay in contact as long as possible. We don't know what's going to happen. But reach out to AAM if you have any help or need. And then the peer reviewers are always there to help. You can always reach out to Dr. Scott Neal. I have his
Okay.
contact information. Jeff has it. Karina has it. So if you need anything, questions, advice, Dr. Neal has offered that as well.
Well, that's lovely. Yeah.
AAM is always there as a resource. But basically, it's in our game. Again, they were there to give us a review. They gave us, they did an assessment, and this is all on us.
Okay.
So we're on our own.
Yep, got it. Okay, any more questions for Adam that we can move on? We're good to go?
So
We're gonna go then?
I'm a little
Yes.
slow. So that means because of these federal issues, we won't be officially accredited? We'll just do these things as best practices then?
That's a great question, Mr. Vice Mayor. So the federal cuts affected the museum assessment program in terms of its operation, which is kind of a pretest for accreditation. So it's a separate program, separate from accreditation. Thankfully, the accreditation process is in the hands of a nonprofit organization, and that's the American Alliance of Museums.
And that's still
So
on track then?
they're still doing accreditations and
Okay.
reaccreditations in that process. I think for the accreditation process, there's the next step is a document review and then a site visit. And then the only thing the town would have to pay for is basically the transportation and lodging for the site visit of a day or two. And I think that's the only cost. They used to have it covered, and before the MAP program this last year, they were able to get extra funding to cover Dr. Neal's accommodations and transit. Previous years, so we were really lucky, because if we did it a year before, we would have had to pay for Dr. Neal's room, board, and travel. And then, so now the MAP program is on pause right now, but the accreditation process, since it's outside of the federal oversight, that process can still continue on. So we
And
kind of
obviously,
ships
your
in the night.
recommendation is to continue on, because that accreditation, if we achieve it, will help us get other potential grants down the road, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, Adam. Member reports, items. Do you have anything, Carrie?
No,
Okay, thank you. Vicky?
No.
No, nothing? Ellen?
I will just enter into the record that I've officially resigned my position as being president of Friends of the Mound House. I'm staying, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, I'm staying on as chief fundraiser. And Beverly, well, I think I already read this into the record, but Beverly is the president, and Mike Hughes is the vice president and treasurer, no, excuse me, secretary, and Nancy Smith remains treasurer. And we are also shrinking the number of Mike Hughes, is, I think most people understand, is an attorney. He's not licensed in Florida, he's licensed in Illinois, but he files all of our records, so now he will be on board as an officer, and we'll be filing all those records, so we'll be all legally. Officially right.
Okay, thank you, Ellen.
You're welcome.
Anybody from staff have anything further to add to our meeting?
No, just
From
again, thank you to Adam. You know, he's been here longer than I have for sure, and went through all the same storms that we all have, and has stuck it out and really gave us a good game plan of where we need to go next with the Mound House. And so thank you very much for all you did.
Thank you. Thanks for all your support, and I'll be rooting from California on the great successes the town and Mound House is sure to have.
Well, hopefully we'll have good things to report. We've got some constraints now, obviously, with our budget, but we'll do the very best we can, all right? And so, Jim, do you have anything further to add?
I don't have anything additional. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. There being no one in the audience, we will not need the public comment, so I'd like to now have a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
Thank you. Ellen, second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved, and the meeting is now ended at 2:54. Thank you all. Thank you.
bye-bye.
6 minutes ago.